Hi, it's Paul Slatkus. I'm with Sid Bernstein. Hi, Sid. How are you?
Paul, whenever I'm with you, it's a happier moment. I enjoy being with you and talking to you.
We've been together many times, Sid.
Yes, we have.
Going back probably over almost 30 years. And Sid is an, I hope I say this word right, impresario? I'm saying it because Sid has been in the music industry for a long time, and happily in the music industry. Would you give that is that accurate?
Yes. Am I happy in it? I'm so happy in it, mainly because I'm back working again. I just got rid of one stick. In 3 months, I get rid of this one. Look out, world. But I'm happy. I'm back working where I belong in the music business.
Let's go right to the, I guess I know you did lots of music prior to you bringing in the Beatles, and we're going to talk about actually Woodstock as well, and about concerts related to peace. And I know that that's a soft spot in your heart. And that Sid is the gentleman who brought the Beatles to America and had their, first concert here?
I'm sorry?
You brought the Beatles to America.
Yes, I did. That's quite some time ago.
And you did that, how did that happen?
I was a soldier in World War II and stationed before we went to uglier places, stationed for quite a while in England prior to the invasion, and fell in love with England, liked the civility, liked the gentility of the people I met there, and it rubbed off in a very big way, coming from the East Bronx. And all of a sudden, instead of speaking Bronxese or Brooklynese, I started to speak English, the way I felt it should be spoken.
Queen's English.
And when I finally got home in one piece back to my parents and my grandma with whom I lived at that time, my folks in the Bronx, and my grandmother was still with us, I went back to reading about, well, I didn't go back to it because what I did was I picked up English newspapers because I'd gotten so into the English way of life during the time that I spent there prior to the invasion and the ugly part of the world, and well, all war is ugly. And I used to pick up the English newspapers at the out-of-town newsstand, which still exists on 86th Street, I believe it is, and picked up the English newspapers at a time when there were little reports about four guys from Brooklyn. Sorry. No, they weren't from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn. Everybody's from Brooklyn.
Yeah, only Marty Markowitz is really from Brooklyn, the borough president.
If they're not from Brooklyn, we're going to say they're from Brooklyn.
Anyway, should we? Anyway, I picked up.
From Brighton, maybe. Brighton?
No, not Brighton.
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Yeah, Brighton. You're not too far away when you say
Brighton Beach.
Yeah. When you say Brighton. Anyway, I called this young guy that I'd been reading about, their manager, Brian Epstein, and he said to me, "You're the first American to call me."
Wow.
He says, "Why would you want to bring my boys to New York?" He says, "We're not getting any airplay there yet." And I ad-libbed, as a promoter would do. I say, because I was reading about them, very impressed with what I was reading about and how they were picking up not just young people in their native Liverpool, but people right across England were starting to talk about them and want their services and clubs and stuff. I felt the language is the same. Maybe I should look into it and maybe bring in more of a to New York. And I convinced him to come. I convinced him by saying, when he asked me, where would you present them? They're not selling anything in America yet. I said, I'd like to bring them to Carnegie Hall. That did it. He says, my boys, always refer to him as my boys, Carnegie Hall. I said, yes. And so we made a deal for Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
And that was, gosh, that was so long ago. I forgot.
What year was that?
That was 1964. I believe it was
pre-Woodstock.
Pardon?
Pre-Woodstock.
Yes, it was pre-Woodstock, right. 1964. And they tore Carnegie Hall apart and created such a welcome from American kids that Ed Sullivan picked up on them, and immediately my date was on Wednesday. On a Wednesday, he brought them in. Historically, his shows, the Sunday show, Ed Sullivan's show was on Sundays. He brought them 3 days before I was presenting them. And the Sullivan show created
havoc.
Created mass hysteria right across America. And so here I am 3 days later, and the press of the world is calling me. Guys like yourself from Japan. I even got 1 or 2 reporters from behind the Iron Curtain from Russia at that time, asking for tickets to the show. And so my next event with them was the following year, where I brought them into Shea Stadium, and that really turned, they did, the music business around. Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium was the front runner of mass stadium performances for artists other than the Beatles, who came along and made some noise in the music business.
Now, some years later, 69, because we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Woodstock, and I believe that at some point you worked very hard to do a peace concert up in that area as well, or is that what were you working on? I know you worked very hard on some projects.
I was working on a lot of things. Most importantly, the first of 6 children. Most important.
The most, by far.
We had, my wife and I, we had 6 children in the first 9 years of our marriage, which is some sort of a record. Mainly my children, but where I found time to do the Beatles and then bring in the Rolling Stones and the Moody Blues, who were playing, I think, this coming week at the Music Hall. I was just a very busy guy. And I enjoyed being busy, having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids running around the house. And I wanted not to miss their laughs, their happiness, their honesty. And I quit my office. I forgot where the heck I was working at the time, and turned my office over to my apartment just to be near my children.
Wow, so
the apartment got bigger every year we had a kid.
Let's throw out
a couple other
names. The Rascals, right?
And then I found this group, American group, called the Rascals out of mainly New Jersey. Felix Cavalier, Eddie Brigatti, who are talking to each other again. I don't know if you're aware of that.
That's good news.
But they are talking, and I'm just hoping. I just want to buy the first ticket to see them again. They were a great group, great music group.
Oh, we love them.
And I'd like to see them get together and work again.
But Sid, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe you worked on a peace concert.
Yeah.
That's what I'm speaking about.
Yeah.
He also who's a Latin
I had-
Latin music impresario as well, right? Yeah,
I was a lot of things.
You said a lot.
I was a lot of things. Peace.
Sarah Vaughan. Sarah Vaughan.
Yeah, peace was important to me because here I am, the father now of a bunch of kids. I'd seen the ugliness of war in Europe, having served not just in England, but in Germany and Belgium, and I saw some of the. It wasn't a hero's kind of thing, as some papers might have brought it out. It was people killing people, and that's where I got involved in the peace movement. And yes, I did do a concert at Shea Stadium, for peace. And then we went on to do it in the city of Liverpool, in the city of Philadelphia, a big concert in their big ball field. Yeah, and today.
And this is about
I'm
what year?
thinking
This is
about doing a-
pre Woodstock as well, right? This is
Pardon?
This is before Woodstock.
Yeah. Woodstock,
69.
69. I didn't go there because Jerry, my wife, was pregnant with our second child, so I missed seeing that concert, But I did go back again and did the 25th anniversary of Woodstock. And I didn't call it Woodstock. That belonged to the guys who created it, who brought it there. And I called it Bethel because that's where the concert of Woodstock really took place.
That's right.
Not in the town of Woodstock. It took place in the small town of Bethel. Why Bethel? I chose Bethel because my kids were going to camp in the town of Bethel.
And the Catskills.
In the Catskills.
The
right.
Borscht Belt.
And I chose the original site, and I called it Bethel 70. It was 1974. I didn't even refer to Woodstock, but it was the follow-up to the original Bethel in '69.